Welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be looking at the last division in the AFC that we have not already done. We're going to be doing the AFC West today. So yeah, we're going to look at all four teams, predict their whole schedules, who they're going to win, who they're going to lose to, and what record they will finish with. Talk a little bit in depth about each roster, and then and yeah, just compared to the rest of the AFC. Look at playoff seeding based on my predictions, and yeah, that's really it. Real quick, make sure you go check out the other videos on the channel. AFC East, AFC North, AFC South should already all be out. Make sure you check those all out. If you're new around here, make sure you subscribe. Not only do we do NFL, we do college football, college basketball, NBA, and MLB. So if any of that interests you, make sure you get on there, subscribe, turn on the noties to make sure you don't miss whenever we upload. And like this video if you enjoy. Links in the description as always. X, Twitch, TikTok, Discord. Make sure you follow those, join those, whatever you'd like to do. But with all that being said, let's get into the first team. So the first team we're going to look at, we're going to go bottom to top. We're going to start with the Broncos. I think they're going to finish last in this division. I just think when you look at the rosters, I feel like they have the weakest team. I'm interested to see how Bo Nix looks, because I was actually pretty high on him coming out of the draft. I thought he would be one of the better quarterbacks in this draft class, so I definitely am interested to see. But they really don't have much offensively or defensively. They lost Justin Simmons to the Falcons. I believe Pat Surtain is still there, but Javonte Williams had a rough season last year. He was injured. Receiving wise, there's really not much there. They don't have Jerry Jeudy anymore. So the wide receiver one is probably Cortland Sutton, which isn't great. I just think they just have the worst team in my opinion in this division. This division is not very good. Starting out week 1 at Seattle, I don't think they're gonna win that game. I don't think they beat the Steelers. I don't think they're going to beat the Bucks. I don't think they'll beat the Jets. I think their first win comes here in Week 5 against the Raiders at home. I definitely think the Raiders are better, but I feel like at home they can win this game. Home against the Chargers, I don't think they'll win there. On the road against the Saints, it's going to be a loss. Home against the Panthers, I'll say they win that game. I think the Panthers aren't a great team. The fact that they get it in Denver at home, that's always a plus. These two games, sorry, they're not winning those. I think the Falcons will beat them. I think the Falcons are in for a very good season this year. I think on the road in Vegas, that's going to be a tough one. I don't think they'll sweep the Raiders. I think the Raiders win. I think the Browns beat the Broncos going into the bye. I think coming out of the bye, just think the Colts are better. I think they'll win. I think the Chargers and Bengals both beat them on the road. And then Week 18 here against the Chiefs in the altitude, I think the Chiefs will have already wrapped up the AFC by now. They'll sit their starters. I'll say the Broncos win that game, and Bo Nix gets one more win on the season. But I'm going 3-14, and I do think they'll be tied for the worst record in the league, along with the Patriots. Like I said, they're not a good team at all. I think they're one of the worst teams in the league. I'm going 3-14. But looking at our next team, a little bit more to talk about here. The Raiders. Now, obviously, the big elephant in the room is the quarterback situation, because Gardner Minshew is going to be the starter this year, which isn't great if we're being honest. But looking around him, they still have some pieces. They still have Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers is still there. Still got some guys. Still got Max Crosby on defense. I mean, they're still playmakers. It's just how much can those guys really do for the team with Gardner Minshew at quarterback, and really just a lackluster roster besides those standout guys. I don't think much. I don't think the Raiders will be very good. Looking at the schedule, starting off at the Chargers, I think Justin Herbert will be able to win them that game. I think at the Ravens, that's going to be a loss. I think they'll beat the Panthers at home. I think the Browns come into Vegas and beat the Raiders. I think they'll lose on the road against the Broncos. I think they'll split with the Broncos. I think they'll beat the Steelers at home, though. I feel like this is a game they can win. Just, Devontae Adams maybe goes off, has a crazy game, something. Because they're not going to lose, every game. I don't think they're as bad as the Broncos. necessarily. I think at the Rams in SoFi, it's going to be a loss. Home against the Chiefs and at the Bengals, this is a tough stretch here. And really this game too, coming out of the bye. I don't think they'll beat the Dolphins. But after that, at the Chiefs, or sorry, I skipped over this game. I think they'll beat the Broncos. So I guess they halt their losing streak for a week. But then at the Chiefs and at the Bucks, that's going to be 2 losses for me. I just don't see them winning either of these games. I think they'll beat the Falcons. I feel like the Falcons will be a team where I am very high on them. I think they're going to win a lot of games this year. I just feel like they're going to have some off weeks, just because Kirk Cousins, he's not the greatest quarterback. He's serviceable, but he's going to have some off games. We saw that in Minnesota every once in a while. I think the Jags go into Vegas and win. I think on the road against the Saints is going to be a loss. I think their D-line's just too much for Minshew to handle. I think they'll win Week 18 though against the Chargers. I think they'll split with the Chargers. So I'm going 5-12. Definitely not making the playoffs. And yeah, I mean this division is just maybe the worst division in football. I'm being so honest. I think you can make an argument for maybe the NFC South, but now with the Falcons being, I think, will be much improved. I think the Buccaneers will be solid. Yeah, this might be the worst division. I mean, it's led by arguably the best team. I mean, it's led by the back-to-back Super Bowl champs, so can it really be the best team when you have them in there? Or, I mean, the worst division when you have the best team in the league in there? I don't know if it really can be classified as that. But it definitely is a pretty bad division. I mean, if any other team besides the Chiefs in here, it's easily the worst division, I think. It probably still is, honestly. The Chargers, man, they lose Keenan Allen. They lose Austin Eckler. They lose Mike Williams. Yeah, they really lost everyone. They lose Gerald Everett. Donald Parham's off the roster. It's a completely new team besides Justin Herbert. I mean, it really is. At running back, they have Gus Edwards / Blake Corum. They'll probably split carries. Receiving-wise, I'm not even sure who's... Maybe Josh Palmer is the wide receiver one. Quentin Johnston. Ladd McConkey they drafted. That's a pretty rough offense surrounding Justin Herbert. Now, I think Herbert is good enough to get him some wins, or maybe they shouldn't. But, man, it's not a great team. The defense, I will say, is still pretty solid. Asante Samuel, Joey Bosa, Derwin James. They got some guys. So yeah, the defense isn't bad. I think Eric Kendricks is still on the team. Defense is actually pretty solid, but the offense does concern me. It is led by Herbert though. Maybe they'll make some moves. We'll see. But looking at this roster right now, I don't think they're going to be a playoff team. Looking at the schedule, I think they'll win Week 1. I think they'll beat the Panthers. I think that's pretty easy there. At the Steelers and home against the Chiefs, that's going to be 2 losses for me. But coming out of the bye, I think they'll beat the Broncos here. They could definitely win this game. I think the Cardinals get it, though. It's on the road. I think the Cardinals, people are sleeping on a little bit. I think they'll be better than some people expect. But I do think they go on a nice little stretch here. I think they'll beat the Saints at home. I think they do lose to the Browns in, the dog. That's a hard game there. But I think they'll beat the Titans at home, and I do think they'll beat the Bengals at home. I know they're coming off a little bit of a bye, but I think Justin Herbert, like I said, will just have some games where he just completely takes over. So I've been winning 4 in this 6-week stretch, 3 in this 4-week stretch. Coming out of this stretch, though, they got a pretty tough 4-game set here. Home against the Ravens is going to be a loss. At the Falcons and at the Chiefs, those are both going to be losses for me. Home against the Bucks, this one could go either way. I have the Bucks though, so I'm going to give it to the Bucks. I think they'll beat the Broncos at home, but I think at this point in the season, it'll really just be, they'll be 7-8, so I guess they'll still be in contention for a playoff spot, but I feel like this is just where maybe some injury happens. I don't know. I just feel like they really crumble. I think the Patriots get them week 17. I feel like, Drake May maybe just pops off for a game, and I think they lose at the Raiders, choking in Charger fashion once again. Like I said, entering this week they'll be 7-8, so they could potentially be 9-8. Definitely could be a playoff team at that record. I think they finished 7-10 though, and just come up a little bit short ultimately. 7-10 though in the division. But moving on, we're going to be looking at the obvious, uh, obvious first place team in this division. It's going to be the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't think that's any surprise. And I do think they'll be the 1 seed in the AFC, but how many wins do I think they'll get? Let's look at that right now. So week 1, Thursday Night Football, home against the Ravens. What a game to start out the season. I think they'll win in Arrowhead. That's a tough game for the Ravens. I think the Chiefs come out on top. I think the Bengals beat them, though. The Chiefs always struggle with the Bengals, so I think they lose there. But I think at the Falcons and at the Chargers, those are 2 wins. The Falcons, like I said, I am pretty high on them, but I think the Chiefs are just the better team ultimately. I think they'll win home against the Saints coming out of the bye. They got a really tough game here at the Niners. I think the Niners get it done. If it was in Arrowhead, I'd pick the Chiefs. Super Bowl rematch. I really like this game. I think the Niners get their revenge. But I think they'll beat the Raiders on the road. I think they'll beat the Bucks at home. I think they'll beat the Broncos at home. I think at the Bills, Josh Allen finally gets one. I just feel like it's due. I know the Bills aren't going to be as good as in recent years this year, but I don't think the Chiefs will win every game. They're not going to be, 15-2. That's just unrealistic. So I have to give them some losses somewhere. I think at the Panthers, though, that will be a win. Home against the Raiders and Chargers, those will both be wins. I think at Cleveland could be tough. I think they'll win. I think they'll win home against the Texans. The Chiefs have a pretty tough schedule. And then at the Steelers, I feel like at this point they'll be what, 12-2, or no, I guess 12-3 coming into this game. May or may not have already had the AFC wrapped up at this point. I feel like the Steelers win this one. It's on the road. I feel like this is just a game the Steelers would win. Mike Tomlin trying to stay above 500 for once again another season. I do think he does it, by the way. Check out the AFC North video. I have him going 9-8. And I think they lose at the Broncos. I think they'll have the AFC wrapped up at this point. But I have them finishing as the 1 seed in the AFC with a 12-5 record. That may seem a little low to you, but, I believe I have the Chiefs, Texans, and Ravens all finishing with 12-5 records, but I think the Chiefs will be the 1 seed just based off the tiebreakers and everything. Yeah, I mean, it's Mahomes, Kelsey, one of the best top 10 defense in the league. Rashee Rice is there. They drafted Xavier Worthy. Love that draft pick. Isaiah Pacheco is really becoming a very good running back. They have a very good team. One of the best, maybe the best head coach in the league, probably, honestly, Andy Reid, with no more Belichick. So, yeah, the Chiefs, they're going to be the 1 seed in the AFC. They're going to win this division pretty easily. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed the AFC West preview and prediction. Check out the other ones. Like I said, the rest of the AFC is all up for you to go check out. So some of those videos will be popping up on the screen here either now or shortly. Links in the description. As always, X, Twitch, TikTok, Discord, follow, join those. Whatever you'd like to do. If you're new around here, make sure you subscribe, turn on the noties to make sure you don't miss whenever we post, because we're posting a bunch of NFL content right now. Along with NFL, we do college basketball, college football, NFL, NBA, MLB. So if you're interested in any of that, go down and subscribe, like this video if you enjoyed. With all that being said, I will see you guys tomorrow with the NFC East preview. We're moving on to the NFC. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this one, and thank you for watching.